Today my panorama is photographed on the Island of Ringvassoya and along the shores of Skogfjordvatnet. Now this particular panoramic image is a little different from the ones I usually love to shoot. It nevertheless is beautiful in its own right, an elegant high-key, almost monochromatic view of this fjord in a midwinter snow-filled whiteout. Ewen and myself had picked out this spot for its very lovely viewpoint. Driving around the island a couple of days before, we had selected various places that we knew would be wonderful for our participants, even if we got snowfall. It had been heavily snowing continuously since the evening before, and Ewen and I had spent the morning with our photographic workshop group in the warm cabins, critiquing and teaching some finer points of snow photography. We venture out in the vans after a delicious hot lunch prepared by our wonderful chef Shellie, as the falling snow is now easing. And we should get the chance to photograph for a while before it starts snowing heavily again. We arrive at a silent and very white landscape, thereby giving us a great opportunity to shoot something quite lovely, down to earth, minimal and different. This place with its great foreground and stunning backdrop, with those wonderful details in both the middle ground island in the fjord and also the far distant mountains. We had lots of subjects to choose from here, groups of trees, single trees, close-ups of white ice cream-like shapes that were hanging from the branches, and of course my favourite scene that I had already pre-visualised, this beautiful panorama. I shoot 6 frames and I deliberately underexpose slightly for 2 reasons. I know from experience that Photoshop will lighten automatically when it stitches this panorama as a DNG file, and I also want to retain all the details in the lighter parts of my background, which are somewhat lighter than the middle ground. And I pick this up in the viewfinder when I'm actually shooting and composing my frames for this particular panorama. Importantly too, most of the work is done in camera. That's why this panorama is a little different. I have pre-selected my lens view of 80mm. I know visually where I want to start and also end this 6-shot panorama. And the light is also very soft with a total white sky, so I don't have any issues with contrast at all. It's basically a ready-made scene for what I want to achieve in my final result. So taking the 6 images that we have in the folder of Skogfjordvatnet, those 6 images go into Camera Raw in Photoshop, where they'll be opened, and you can see, as I was mentioning just before, how I have shot them with an underexposure. And once we start building these, you'll see how it's turned light. There it is. It's already turned light. I'm going to check out cylindrical here. I need a little bit more in the foreground. So taking my boundary warp up to 100%, I can see that I have lots of foreground, which is what I want. I'm pretty happy with that, and of course it's already lightened off as a DNG file, so we save that back in the folder where our original 6 files, our raw files are, and while it's building we can work on our shadows. There's not much to do here. We want to keep this monochromatic effect really like it is, so we just slightly adjust the whites and the highlights, and then we build it and we open it in Photoshop. This one is actually very simple. As I said before, I have done lots of it in Camera Raw, and we're just tweaking the final few details. In Silver Efex Pro, I want to turn it to a monochromatic image. I go into toning, I go up to selenium number 4, and I just work the structure. There's lots of structure in this very simple yet elegant image, and a little bit more contrast. That's to bring the whites and a tiny bit of brightness. You notice the details there in the background are still there because we started with an underexposed image. So all those lovely details are still there. Very happy with that. Even though we've done a lot of brightness and a lot of contrast, we still basically have the details. So I click OK, and that image then now comes back into Photoshop itself, and you can see now it's totally monochromatic with that beautiful touch of selenium. Now, there's just a few more things that we need to do to make this image perfect. We need to clone out the power lines. I don't like those. So, using our content-aware brush tool, we quickly get rid of these power lines. And you'll notice that I've enlarged the photograph quite significantly to just the areas where I want to work on these power lines. The more we actually enlarge when we're doing any cloning work or getting rid of it, as in the brush tool here, the easier it's going to work. You can see now I'm doing little bits through the trees, just where the eye might pick this up on a large printed photograph, and out they come, so that we're just leaving the branches intact. That's looking pretty good. Just a few final touches, move across, see if there's anything else there. No, all seems to go. And as you can see, when I sweep through the beautiful detail, we've got the good contrast on the island there, but we still have detail in the background. Okay, I'm just going to cream this up a little bit. I want it slightly warm. This is often a good idea. The blue tone that I chose, selenium, is a little bit cool. So just a touch of warmth, almost like a parchment. In fact, if we printed this on a warm parchment, it would look gorgeous, almost like a Japanese etching. And of course, we need a little bit more contrast now. So using our levels and our curves, we can adjust the background and also keep it nice and clean. Looking through that now, you can see that that is really, really come together. We have still some detail in the background, but lots of detail through the buildings and the foreground island in the middle of this fjord. So we flatten that now, and the last thing I'll need to do is basically resize it. So image size, going to my favorite size, which is 42 inches, and I'm now going to adjust the height. So I click off so that I can adjust the bottom. Here we go, 18 inches by 42. Now I'm just going to choose another color, and I'm just going to work my way through that. I want it nice and clean and white. Vivid light down to around 8, not too harsh, and then see where it's darker. I just want to bring out the shadow or the darkness of these buildings a touch more, using a very, very subtle white. Not cold white exactly, just a subtle white. I'm very happy with that, just maybe a little bit more. Okay. And basically, we save it back into the folder where our original files are and our DNG file is. And that's basically it. We've completed another lovely image. This one is completely outside my field of what I usually do with panoramas, but this would print up beautifully. A simple and very elegant photograph. Midwinter up here in the Arctic regions of coastal Norway is absolutely breathtaking and exhilarating. It's a place I particularly love, and I've been continually coming back to this region for over 8 years now. Ewen, Shellie, Froidevaux, and myself, we run midwinter workshops to this wonderful area of Arctic Norway. And I invite everyone that has enjoyed my Panorama workflow sessions, both this one and the ones that I've previously done with regard to the Arctic Norway, to join us on our next adventure here. Details for getting further information to join us on this workshop can be found in the description of this presentation. Until next time, this is Ian Rolfe, and I thank you for watching.